One of the things that often pops up in my classroom is people ask me, what is this class going to be like? And it is sort of a different question, and it's difficult to answer because it is different for every person that's involved. The first thing I just kind of I'm going to say this now, it's not going to make as much sense as it could, but that a class with me is not a bus ride. So if you've ever been on a bus ride, maybe you know what it's like. If not, just keep that in mind as we move through. As a teacher, the important thing is not to make sure that the content is presented. That is the cheap way out. That does not help anyone except for the teacher, and it makes the teacher's job seem more like they are checking off boxes. Okay, today I did this. That is fairly useless. Instead, the teacher's job is to ensure that the material gets to the student with the student's best interest and end goals in mind. So, who are your students? I teach at a community college, and the students that we have are very varied, and in addition to the varied students, the way that they learn is varied. Now, we have in our classroom, we may very well have dual enrolled students, and these students are from homeschool, or they're from high schools, but they've left early to achieve their degrees, and these are students who are very inquisitive, very intuitive. They may not always be extroverts or have great social skills, but they know what they're doing and they know how to hit the job that's in front of them, and they work in a certain way. We may have students who come directly from high school, and based on their high school experience, they may be expecting to be spoon-fed information with important notes highlighted, and they expect that every Friday they may have a test or a quiz, and the ideas that were pointed out during the lecture will be on the quiz, and if they're not there, then it was an ineffectual item. We may have students who are coming in lateral entry from the workplace, and these people in the workplace are expecting to be taught in much the same way that they might be given on-the-job training. They'll be told about it, there'll be a short demonstration, then they'll each demonstrate their knowledge and abilities, and then they'll move on to the next step. You may have people who have been fired from a job, and they've always wanted to search on something, or they want to get a better job, and so they need to come to school to learn how to use new technology. And so those people will be expecting maybe things to be fairly easy or things to be somewhat difficult, but all the answers within reach, and all of the answers will be provided by the teacher. All they have to do is pay attention. Or they may already be in a mindset that every day is going to be a struggle. On the other hand, you might have a student in their late 50s or 60s, and they may not have ever used a computer before. They may have themselves set in a situation where they've always wanted to learn how to do this thing, and if they do it and they succeed, they're going to feel awesome about it. And if they do it and they don't succeed, well, they're willing to try again. No harm, no foul. So, with all of these different ideas in the classroom, how can you present the same material to all these people in the same way and expect that everyone will be on board in the same fashion every single week? You can't. And so, once you start to think about these different learning modes, or these different students, you also have to understand that students have different learning modalities. Some of people learn best by reading. They want to read it on a page, and if it doesn't make sense, they want to go back and read it again. You may have some people who work best with mnemonics. My very educated mother just served us nachos, is how they will remember the order of the planets without the dwarf planet, Pluto, in there. Love you, Pluto. You're my favorite. Anyway, or they may enjoy the crap method with composition, relativity, whatever the A and the P stand for. Those things make sense to people, and if they can remember it, then they can do it. Scuba, self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. Okay, as long as I can remember those letters, I'll know what it stands for. You may have people who learn visually. They like lots of pictures. They want charts and graphs. They want video. You may have people who are aural, who learn by hearing. And so video might be great for them because they can listen to it again and again, or they may want to have a book on tape instead of a standard. You may have people who learn by doing, and they need to have demonstration followed by a hands-on component, or they need to be able to present their work to the class to feel good about what they've done. You may find people who learn by bouncing ideas off of one another, and so they'll sit down with everybody, they'll talk over their ideas, they'll do some sketching, they'll ask their neighbor, what do you think? They'll present their work, they'll wait for some feedback, and then they'll really go to town. So, with all these different people, with all these different backgrounds, and all these different ideas and different ways of learning, how can you as a teacher step in front of that class and present your material in a meaningful way that's going to lead to growth and success? The true answer is that you really can't. So when I get this idea of how am I going to teach the class, what is it that people will expect, this is not a bus ride. If you have been on a bus ride, the bus driver tells you when they're leaving and everybody has to be there. Then you get inside and you go where the bus driver wants to take you. And when the bus driver is taking you somewhere, you just sit there and wait. When you get to the location that the bus driver wants to stop, he stops. Everybody has to get out. And once everybody is out, the bus driver tells everybody when to come back. And that's it. I mean, it's fairly straightforward. I saw this most often in classes like art history, where we had 129 people in a room. Class started on time. There was a slide projector. The teacher put on the slide. They talked for exactly 3 minutes about each slide, and they went through for 2 hours straight with a 10-minute break in the middle. It was pretty amazing. And don't get me wrong, I have nothing against art history teachers. I took 9 classes on art history when I was in college. So, but if you think about a bus ride, if you don't like what you're seeing when you're stuck on the bus and you're going where the bus driver wants you to go, it gets very boring and you fall asleep. And so the idea of the bus ride and having a bus ride is not that great for most students. If the student is not interested in what you are saying or how you are saying it or how you're getting to the location, they are going to fall asleep. Stop paying attention. Instead, my classes are like a walking tour of a great house. We all start off together. We enter into an exciting room or a new area. I point out the important things, why you should know these, pay close attention to these things, and then I'm quiet. And everybody on the walking tour moves around and they see the things that I've talked about, and if they're interested, they look real hard, and if they want to, they ask questions, and everybody listens or they don't. But if you need a little more time, you look at the things that interest you. You learn about the things that interest you. And if you're not interested in that stuff, you have a quick look around, then you move on into the next room and you wait politely for me to show up there. Then after a while everybody does their own thing and gets themselves prepared for the very next step in the process, eventually you'll get a note, Okay, everybody, let's gather together in the next room for the next portion of the tour. And then we step off. And if people need a minute or two to join us, they do. If people want to go right away so they don't miss anything, they do. And if there's some people who need to linger for a couple of extra minutes, even after we've started on the next thing, well, that's their choice and they lose out a little bit. But because there is this opportunity for people to focus on the things that are of interest to them, instead of a hard-nosed, black and white, this, not that approach, students find in my classes that they work harder. They do the things that they want to do. They get to make choices about, do I work with what I know and do excellent work, or do I need to practice something that I don't know very well so that I get better? If I want to focus on doing this type of illustration for this project, can I just take a little bit longer and focus on that before we all meet up? And it gives everybody a very good opportunity. In my classes, we have video content, we have lecture content, we have links to other websites. We have all the materials that students need to help them get their learning modalities down. If they like to read, they can read from the book. They can go to a website and read those pages. If they like the pictures, they can look at the examples. They can watch PowerPoints or videos on how to do the materials, how to see it, great examples from the past, what kinds of things we would like, but not specifically what we want to see. And they can learn in the way that works best for them. To apply this knowledge today, think of how you are approaching your subject in school. Are you appealing to someone who is a visual learner? If you're appealing to a visual learner, are you giving a video to an auditory learner? Is the video that you're giving to a video learner or an audio learner or an observational learner, does it come with a closed caption soundtrack so that people who are hearing impaired still have an opportunity to read that material and understand? Do you have any kind of mnemonics to go along with what you're looking for? Is there a critique opportunity where people can bounce ideas off of one another and get new direction? Think about the ways you are approaching your projects in your classroom and how you can incorporate some different modalities today. Are you giving students time to ask and answer questions? Are you giving them the opportunity to learn what they want to learn? Are you giving them an opportunity to learn it the way they want to learn? I hope you're finding that this material is improving your classroom experience. Please feel free to drop me a line at any time. Comment, like, subscribe, and share.